And welcome to Madden and Benz, Unfiltered. Tim Benz and Mark Madden with you. Glad that you're with us. We're brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore. Try one of their 500 available craft beers. Grab some food, including the fabulous steak on a stone, and watch Pittsburgh sports all season long on one of their many big screen TVs directly across from PNC Park at the end of the Clemente Bridge. Meet me at Mike's, and everybody can meet up at Mike's in advance of the first preseason game down at Acrisure Stadium. The Steelers will be there against the Bucs after winning in game one of the preseason against the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road. Mark, your biggest impressions, positive and negative, from that game were what?
Well, my biggest positive was that Mason Rudolph's real good and always has been, and Steeler fans have never given him the credit he deserves. If Will Howard had the kind of game that Rudolph did, let alone the kind of game Skylar Thompson did against guys going to be bagging groceries in a month, they'd be proclaiming him the starter. They'd yell to give the kid a chance the minute Aaron Rodgers threw an incompletion. Rudolph's a real good backup. Mark Cavalli said that he might be the best backup in the league, and you know what? He just might be. So my big positive takeaway was Mason Rudolph. Also, he didn't get killed, which says something for the tackles who were under scrutiny, Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu. Defensively, it was good to see Cole Holcomb get back out there after having suffered that cataclysmic knee injury, although where he fits in their plans, I do not know.
I think he could still be a backup. I don't think they want to see him get significant action. That would mean then that Patrick Queen or Peyton Wilson are either hurt or not working out. I want to go back to your point about the tackles, Mark, because you brought up that, anytime in the preseason where somebody does really well, we've got to consider what you brought up, that they might be going up against guys who aren't going to be in the league soon. Although Fautanu and Broderick Jones were playing against two guys that had 18.5 combined sacks last year, at least for a little while. The Jacksonville Jaguars, even though they are the Jaguars, played their starters, NFL starters. So that's something to consider. At least perhaps strides have been made there, and it might quell some of the concern that we've heard about Jones having a less than stellar camp so far.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough to tell because it is exhibition play, and Jacksonville played their starters, but not for very long. However, they were matched up against Jones and Fautanu, those edge rushers you're talking about. So, yeah, it went fine. If they play that way again in week in week 2 of the preseason, week 3, however much they play, then maybe they'll go into the season with some legit momentum and us with some legit optimism on their behalf. But, Tim, I'm still scared by, the damage that could be done to Rodgers and to the team and how they do with those tackles, because you got one who's essentially still a rookie, Fautanu, after missing all of last year, and Jones is playing his first season at a new position, albeit not new to him totally, dating back to Georgia. And it is his preferred position, but he ain't been there since he got here.
All right, so I want to hear from Steelers fans who you thought stood out, who you thought played well, who you thought struggled. Mark, you and I both were less than overwhelmed by what we saw from Caleb Johnson. I'd say I was underwhelmed with the hopes that I had for him right out of the gates. There was a lot of chatter online about the stiff arm that he had to Travis Hunter. Am I just taking a bad angle on that? We are in a highlight society, so everybody looks at the one play and thinks he did great, but it was 20 carries, 8 yards, 1 reception, 1 drop, and he didn't get out on a pattern where he probably should have to help Mason Rudolph avoid a sack. There's more in there. I'm not pressing the panic button. I still think he's a good draft choice, but you would have liked to have seen some more spark from him at some point in that game because he saw a lot of action.
He should be the starter, period. I don't care that he had a subpar first preseason game. He should be the starter. When are people going to get through their heads that Jaylen Warren is not a top back, a starting back? He doesn't have the size, can't handle the workload, isn't the style runner for the Arthur Smith offense. But there seems to be this thinking that he deserves a chance because he waited, which has been such a detriment to the Steelers, that whole way of thinking. It's his turn. It kept Dan Moore at left tackle 2 years longer than he should have been. And yeah, he got the big payday from Tennessee. He also led the league in sacks allowed last year. Talent. That's what you do. Play your talent regardless of who waited for what.
As far as some other players on defense, you brought up Holcomb. No, I thought he was around the ball. He might have still been a step late. Like, for instance, he had that PBU, but I think he just more got in the way of the receiver than he broke it up. That could have been a catch. I think Jacksonville had 3 or 4 drops against what amounted to the Steelers' first team for that day. Beanie Bishop was kind of in that category too, where he did some really good things, but he also got beaten on a play where a guy dropped the ball and it could have turned into a big gain. The biggest problem for Beanie, I thought, in that game was Brandon Echols played really well, and Echols can play outside or slot.
Yeah, Beanie's just a slot, so I think he could be in trouble despite his 4 interceptions for last season. Although, Tim, it's really hard to evaluate that defense when so many veterans didn't play.
Right.
And Jalen Ramsey, he's one guy, but he's the key to the fit together for that entire defense. You know, how he moves around, what he does, how guys adjust to him moving around. So without him in there, it's really tough to evaluate at all.
I want to see how that plays out against Tampa this week. I would imagine you're going to see all 3 corners at least for a little while. Let's see what, if anything, that leads to in terms of how they vary up the pass rush. Derek Harmon played a lot, the first-round pick. Mark, he's got to be the least discussed first-round draft choice in the history of the Steelers. No one talks about him. We are, 6 minutes into this conversation. We haven't brought him up, and he played plenty. I thought he was fine. I thought he was okay. It's not like he splashed or stood out or pushed guys around even when they got to the second string. But, I think there's something there, and I think he's going to be an upgrade. If nothing else, I think he can last longer in games than Larry Ogunjobi could last year.
Well, yeah, what's funny about Harmon is he's playing a position where when you watch on TV, you really don't know how he's doing unless he makes the occasional big play. It's almost like the tackles. If the quarterback's alive, they played good. With defensive tackles, like Mean Joe Green, if he hadn't punched people in the nuts all the time, I'm not sure that we would have known how great he was. So I think Harmon's, a guy who has to play because there's nobody else. That also kind of takes down our evaluation of him in terms of the amount of discussion, Tim. There's just no other alternative.
He did get in the way of a pass. I think he altered the sight line of whichever quarterback was in there for Jacksonville by then, and then it turned into an interception. So I think he kind of got the assist on that one. Isaiah Loudermilk got banged for a roughing the passer call that I didn't even see. I think the KDKA cameras looked like they kind of got confused on that one and got away from it on the replay. So I never got.
Anytime Isaiah Loudermilk does something good, I'd be confused too.
We did something bad on this one because he got the flag, so it came back, and it ended up being a touchdown for Jacksonville. But anything else from the game I want people to comment on, good, bad, who you thought you were indifferent on, what you're excited about now, what this means to the quarterbacks. I don't know what it means, if anything, for the quarterbacks, Mark. Skylar, what it means for the quarterbacks probably is Skylar Thompson put enough good on tape that he might find himself a job after the Steelers set their roster and they go to Will Howard as the third guy.
Well, whoever they cut, that's looking for the third string quarterback job probably won't get picked up. So you just put him on the practice squad.
Yeah, I guess they could slide Thompson through there, but I think he played well enough that somebody might sign him. You think
somebody would claim Will Howard if he got cut?
Yes, I think somebody would sign Skylar Thompson if he got cut.
You know what I'd do? Cut both of them because neither of them going nowhere.
You don't think somebody's going to sign Howard? I do.
No, I mean career-wise.
Yeah, I think Howard could be what Rudolph is someday.
There are a couple of bums.
What about the Boswell and Heyward situations? Do you see those getting resolved this week, Mark? And I want people to comment on this too, because I've heard a lot of chatter about it. This seems to be very much dividing people, and I don't know. I'm getting a little brain dead and mind numb on people trying to compare this to their jobs. It's not like your job. It's not like your management-employee relationship, all right? The way the contracts are structured, how they get paid, what bonuses mean in this whole conversation. I think that's been completely forgotten about.
Well, Tim, it is like mine. I'm underpaid, and I just choose not to do anything about it because I got a lot of side hustles. but I'm just weary of it. I think Cam's revealed himself as a total phony, a greedhead. Boswell's only a kicker. I don't think either of these guys come off very well optically. Do you?
No, I don't. And I don't think the fans come off well optically either when they Pollyanna their response to this after praising TJ Watt for getting the most bonus money ever and all the $88 million or whatever it was in bonus money that he got. It's about the bonus. Like this whole thing about, well, it's a one-way street with NFL contracts because they can cut guys. Like, I know that we've talked about that for 30 years. We get it, okay? But the two-way street is they get bonuses up front, and then they want to change their minds about what the length and the pay of the contract should be the rest of the way.
Cam Heyward's already got $13.45 million for this season. Right. And now he's withholding work that he's already been paid for.
Like they negotiate for the upfront money. Everything else after that can be changed. Both sides are aware of this. This is not a new thing that the players are entering into. And I think, like I said before, it's real Pollyanna to suggest otherwise.
I just don't feel sorry for anybody like Cam Heyward, who's already made $131.5 million. I just refuse to feel sorry for him. I refuse to think even for a second he's being wronged or cheated, even for a second.
Especially when the barometer seems to be who got theirs most recently. So I got to surpass that guy. You know what, then? Have a little savvy. Take a look down the line. See who else might be coming up for free agency the year after you. Sign a one-year deal so you can hit a home run the next year if it's that damn important. And that's the big thing with Cam right now is he wants a new deal above and beyond everything else because he wasn't negotiating from a point of strength 2 years ago. He was coming off a bad injury-riddled season. Now he's coming off a great season, so he wants to pretend like that first contract didn't exist aside from the money that he got already.
Well, yeah, last year he had missed 6 games in 2023.
Right.
And the last extension now looks like he overperformed, but that's too bad. At what point is a deal a deal? At what point does your word mean anything? And like you said, people say, well, they can cut these players. They're not cutting Cam Heyward. They're just not. There was never a chance of that. When's the last time a super duper star just coming off an all-pro season got cut?
They're going to work him into retirement like they did Ben Roethlisberger. Or if Cam isn't amenable to that like Roethlisberger was, he can go play somewhere else. It's not up to the Steelers to tell Cam when he's going to retire. This is getting into Andrew McCutchen with the Pirates territory here, except that Cam right now is a better player.
Well, Cam's, 1-8. Isn't that right in playoff games with 1 sack?
I don't know his playoff stats off my head, but that sounds close.
Yeah, well, then take a hike. Who cares? The Steelers can do that without him.
Ralph Kiner.
No, Ralph was better.
Hey, real quick side note, if we're going to go to that era of Pirates baseball, do you think Bob Prince is from the grave behind the green weenies that are being thrown onto the WNBA court?
There was a purple weenie the other night. I don't know how the gunner would feel about that.
I don't know how to feel about that.
I don't think any hit the court last night, did they?
No, I think, if you believe what was said, and this was some crypto bro just trying to get his brand name out there, then maybe that was operation successful. And then other people are going to get cracked down upon if they do it in the arena again. The
notion that anybody saw this as sexualization, as any horrible thing, denigrating the NBA and its players is just absolutely laughable to me. It's a joke. It's funny. If anybody can't see the humor in a bunch of dildos being thrown on a court populated by a lot of lesbians, I'm sorry, then you got no sense of humor. That's funny. That is not homophobic. That is not insulting. Not what they're doing, not what I'm saying. It's just funny.
Well, I think one thing that might have exacerbated it was one of the players, was Sophie Cunningham, put out a tweet right after the first one happened and sort of made a joke about it, and it went viral, and then people...
He said, please don't throw dildos on the court. One of us is going to get hurt.
No, that was the second. I thought that was the second one. The first one she put out sort of had like a tinge of humor to it, and people picked it up and like retweeted it, and that's where it started to turn into a thing. I think she was trying to be funny and blow it off and make it look like it was a nothing incident. And then it kind of caught fire, and from there it led to more. I think
you know what makes me think of this? How serious this is being taken by some, like that Minnesota Lynx coach who talked about this has been going on for thousands of years. No, they haven't been throwing dildos for thousands of years, Coach.
Although I did like that conversation you had with Tom on your show about how far back the dildo does go, and you did find that it's been going on for thousands of years.
Well, we're going to have a world-renowned dildo and sports expert on the show this week, Tim. So
really, that's a big get out of you.
It really is. But it reminds me of Skip Bayless. Did you see his review of Happy Gilmore 2?
I did not. No.
He talked about how insulting it was to the game of golf.
Oh my God.
Okay. no game has ever deserved to be insulted more than the game of golf. Okay? No league has ever deserved to be made fun of more for its self-seriousness than the WNBA. I mean, lighten up, Francis.
Mark, can I ask you who your internationally renowned dildo expert is, or is that none of my business?
That's none of your business.
Let's get to the Pirates and Paul Skenes and the theory behind some that he might be getting a contract extension offer from the Pirates if he hasn't already, that they're working towards it.
That's just fiction. It's not happening.
Oh, I can see it happening. I can see the Pirates offering him something and having it just shoved right back in their face.
Yeah, there is no negotiation when one party won't ever agree. It is not happening. And the people who keep sticking it out there by way of trying to churn up Pirate optimism for a franchise that deserves none, they should be ashamed of themselves.
You know, the one thing that I keep coming back to when this conversation started to launch, and, you know, I guess you could think that the Pirates wouldn't even bother to offer him a deal because they're just sure that they're going to get rid of him after his first arbitration award. The same premise exists if Skenes does sign the contract. Like if Skenes does sign a contract extension and he gets the first year or two of free agency bought out and he's making more money through these next couple years, like Nutting could look at it and say, I'm paying this guy all this money. I can't afford this. So I'm going to move him anyway because we're not winning with them. You know, you've pointed out before, Mark, that they won in 2013 through 15, and he wasn't happy enough with it because what he was throwing out in payroll made the resulting bottom line shrink because they were chasing wins. So if he's not getting wins out of Skenes, you know, you might just say, well, trade him anyway, and it's going to act like the arbitration award in the first place.
Well, yeah, and he did stuff like he signed Russell Martin to a multi-year deal, and he brought in guys at the deadline like Justin Morneau. That name rings a bell. The one outfielder, Marlon Byrd. And, you know, didn't get extra home games out of it, not more than a handful. So he lost money based on the additional attempt to spend and win. So he's not going to do that again. But the Skenes things is a different discussion altogether. Nothing like that, really. I can't imagine one reason Skenes would commit to Pittsburgh for 1 second longer than he has to. And people talk about getting security against injury like Tommy John, which inevitably history dictates he probably will have. He is a guy of such talent and already such accomplishment that if that happened, if he had Tommy John surgery, it would not affect the bidding for him coming out of his recovery one bit.
Yeah, people would pay anyway, and you can also get insurance against that sort of thing too.
Why do people feel the need to fabricate this? Like people who are allegedly in the media, why do they feel the need to take what I guarantee they know to be a lie and run with it?
Well, I don't think it's a lie what they said. I think it's a lie to present it as if it's something
it's very carefully chosen words so that technically it's not a lie.
Yeah, if there's a rumor out there that the Pirates might be working toward extending Paul Skenes, that I can believe, trying to extend Paul Skenes. He's still got to sign the deal. You know, that's the chasm we've got to cross here. You know, that's the big gulf. It's not that the Pirates want to do it. It's what he wants to sign to play here and to stay here and for Livy to stay here and all the other factors.
I just think the discussion when we know it's not going to happen is duplicitous and deceptive. And plus, which too, people, I wrote in my column that Livy Dunn's a factor in all this, and like some people gave me a hard time. She's a factor in all this. Her career is not in Pittsburgh.
You know, I don't think that's rare. I mean, like, let's just say for the sake of argument, Mark, that like Russell Wilson had a good year last year with the Steelers and the Giants were an option. Like, you don't think that he would have wanted to go to New York because of Ciara in part? I do. Like, why is that bizarre? Why is that beyond the pale to suggest?
Yeah, I'll give an example. Years ago, there was a South American football player, Chilean, I think, Gustavo Fring, Alexis Sanchez, who was coming from the Spanish league to play in England. And he was interested in Liverpool, but his wife said Arsenal because Arsenal's in London, not Liverpool. It's in London. Guess where he went? London.
Yeah, there's a difference. Right, exactly. Yeah. So, and it's, you know, beyond that, hey, Paul Skenes is from California. I know he grew up an Angels fan, but maybe the Dodgers look appealing. Wherever it is, it's not here.
No matter what the usual suspects try to jam down everyone's throats, the Pirates are not a serious baseball team and never will be. You know, their shills can go on their flagship and say, this is great, that's great, this is better, that's getting better. We can do this, we can do that. They're not that far away. They are that far away. They're so far away, they'll never get there. And to act any other way, and I understand if you're working for them, you're working for them, but to act any other way is just a crock.
Mark, I know you, before we get to the comments here, have talked about this on your show. I've written about it at Trib Live. I'm just wondering if you're hearing what Elliot Friedman said, if it matches up, that the Penguins offer that they have on the table from Mario Lemieux and Ron Burkle to buy the team back from Fenway is not close to what they would want to sell.
I'm not sure they made a formal offer, but I don't think Fenway wants to sell before expansion, because expansion, those fees come in and each team gets a cut. That's a lot of money, Tim. And I know that Bettman has kind of informally put out there that with expansion coming up, that no team should be sold for under 1.5 bill, because he's trying to set the market for the expansion team, I think, at 2 mil. So I just don't think that resale is going to work out.
They do not need expansion in the NHL. I'm just
Yeah,
trying
they're
to pick.
going to.
I know they're going to. I'm just trying to picture 4 more bad goalies playing on a regular basis.
I'm trying to picture a team failing for a third time in Atlanta, which they seem bound and determined to go back to, despite the Flames failing and moving and the Thrashers failing and moving. Why would you go back to that third time? I can't imagine.
I don't know. Is the other one Quebec probably get another team?
No, the Canadian dollar's too weak. There's no chance of Quebec. I would say it'll be 2 of these 3, Atlanta, Houston, or Kansas City.
Yeah, I could see. Well, Kansas City has the arena now, right? And Houston certainly has a viable arena. They've got a pretty decent AHL team, as I've heard, too.
As long as it's not Atlanta, I'll endorse it. Even
All
though,
right, Mark,
like you said, it's too many teams and certainly not enough goalies.
let's get to some comments. Robert, speaking of hockey, he says, Mark, what is your favorite road arena in the NHL? Is it Montreal?
Yeah, of course, the hot dogs.
Yeah, what are they? The
Bell Center. Bell Center hot dogs. Yeah. And that's a great arena. Anyway.
Shen Road, is that what they're called?
Show Shen. Yes, who knows? My favorite arena ever was the Forum.
The old
which
one,
I was only in twice, once for a tour and once for a game, in which Mario scored on Waugh, but the Canadian won 2-1. But I liked like Chicago Stadium. I still like the Garden a lot because it just has so much history and vibe. The new arenas are all kind of cookie cutter.
The old Odd in Buffalo was underrated and fun. It wasn't a great building.
Small.
It was small.
So small.
It was kind of like they had seats that would go up to the top. Like, you remember the old Mellon Arena, how it used to arch down? They put their seats higher and kind of looked over. It was loud. It was a fun atmosphere. Now, if you had too many beers, you're going to tumble down. And I think that's happened a time or two there.
Yeah, Hershey Park Arena was like that too, which is still there. But the Bears and the AHL play at the Giants Center. But yeah, Buffalo and Boston and Chicago back then had those real small rinks with almost no corners.
Right. Yeah.
It was almost like literally a corner.
Well, I was curious about MSG for hockey because I still have not seen a Rangers regular season game there. I'd like to see a Rangers Penguins game there. Hey, speaking of which, have you seen the Billy Joel documentary yet? Are you watching any of that?
Yeah.
What do you think of it so far? I'm through the first episode. I actually liked it more than I expected.
I liked it more than I expected too, because I'm not necessarily a Billy Joel fanatic. I respect his work. I mean, a guy who writes great pop songs like that, song after song, is to be respected. Although, did you see where McCartney said, it might be in the second episode, McCartney said he's often asked what song it is he wished he had
Yes,
written.
I saw that one, yeah.
And he said, it's Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel. Except in the ABBA documentary, McCartney said SOS. But,
so he knows how to play to the crowd. He didn't get knowing how to play to the crowd.
I really like the documentary. It's very good. And I came out of it with even more respect for Billy Joel.
Jay says one of the Pens going to make some trades. This offseason has been stagnant for the league as a whole. Can't remember an offseason so boring.
Okay, so watch exhibition football. See if you like that better.
I think part of that is their cap works, unlike football. So there's less drama and less need to move guys.
How about the praise for Shador after his first exhibition game in Cleveland when he played pretty good? I mean, like Skylar Thompson played much better. Mason Rudolph played much better. Jackson Dart played much better. But people just went off the hook, for Sanders. And like Josina Anderson, RG3, boy, I don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows, Tim.
I think he was better than what the expectations were, kind of akin to the Broderick Jones conversation. But to your point, a lot of quarterbacks played. Like Mitch Trubisky played well. Russell Fields played well. So, I mean, what were you going to say?
Do you think Shador's going to start week 1?
No, I still think they're going to go to Flacco.
I don't know. The owner clearly wants Shador to start. You know what's funny? Dylan Gabriel got drafted before Sanders, and he's screwed.
Yeah.
And he's kind of innocent bystander. And Kenny Pickett went to the one place where he thought he could start, and he's screwed.
And he might get traded. Compared to last season, it looks like they have upgraded, meaning the Steelers. Any predictions for the win-loss totals that are new? No, I'm still sticking with 9-8. I'm not going to change my prediction after.
I will make my official prediction on the Friday before the regular season on my program, as I always do. But by the way, the Kenny Pickett thing, if he gets traded again,
that's got to be a record.
He has become such a journeyman inside of his rookie contract, which is rare. And Tim, when he refused to dress in Seattle as the backup, that screwed his career forever. It got him a premature exit from Pittsburgh, and it just made people look sideways at him at the slightest provocation.
Calvin says Steelers need to make their player contracts more ironclad. That's more about the NFL than it is about the Steelers. That's about the player, whatever little power. I'm weary
of it. I'm weary of McLaurin. I'm weary of Hendrickson. I was weary of Watt. I'm just weary of all of it.
That's what I'm saying. Put the NHL salary cap in. If they're not happy with how the contracts are, put the NHL salary cap in. You can't renegotiate unless you're a year out. Make them 5-year deals. It's average annual value that counts against the cap, period. That's it. You're both locked in.
I think the better option is to not watch.
This one comes from Chuck, who says the Steelers told Troy when to retire. They should do the same with Cam. This should be his last year. I'm sick of the entire D and their disappearing act come week 12. That is true. They always look great this time of year. They fly around. They're fresh. They're deep. And then attrition kicks in. And next thing you know, it looks like it did a year ago.
The Steelers give these guys such great loyalty, and it's too often not repaid.
This guy says right about the NHL, already have 32 teams, and it's the smallest talent pool in all of sports. Oh, I disagree with that last point. I think it
doesn't have the smallest talent pool. It has a huge talent pool. And the fact that talent pool, because unlike football, the NHL's talent pool is worldwide. Unlike MLB, MLB a little bit more, NBA a lot more. But the NHL has the biggest worldwide talent pool, I think, after soccer. And it goes to show it's just too many teams. Especially, there was an odd lack of goaltending right now.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is the biggest problem.
There's so much theoretical pitching to be had in North America and, in the Dominican or any other Cuba. I mean, you can find pitchers all over the place, but everybody needs pitching all the time. It's the same thing with quarterbacks. It's the same thing with goaltending. I'd argue in the NHL with defensemen too, Mark.
Yeah, no question.
Everybody needs defensemen every year at the trade deadline. Alex says, I always thought...
Well, the Penguins if you look at the Penguins roster, Tim, they only need 6 defensemen.
Alex says, I always thought that an expansion team in Wisconsin would be better, smaller market, but more hockey-centered region. Well, you nailed it right there. It's the size of the market in Milwaukee or wherever they would put the team.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
Let's see here.
Well, like if you're going to go hockey-centric, you would go to Quebec. You would go to... what are some other Canadian cities that, you would, well, actually, you know where the money really is? Put 2 more teams, not 1. If they want to expand by 2 teams, Tim, put 2 more in Toronto.
Oh, I've heard that for a while.
They would absolutely sell out, but the Maple Leafs would never allow that infringement on their territory. Heck, Tim, I don't know if you knew this. For 10 years, the Buffalo Sabres had to pay tribute to the Maple Leafs.
Because of where their TV contract was?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I think I did hear something about that.
You could put a team in Hamilton like they wanted to. You could put a team in Mississauga, which is another suburb, and they would both sell out every game.
Bill says, whatever happened to you, sign the contract, now honor your end of the deal. Cam should either play out this deal, honor his end of the contract, or retire. That's sort of what I was talking about. And the players come back with, well, we can be cut. But the players also don't negotiate for when they're going to get cut. They negotiate.
Cam's not getting cut. Ever.
No, I believe that. And I think we need to change our view of what they're really negotiating for. They're just negotiating for the bonus money. That's it.
If anybody wants to complain, well, the players can get cut. It should be like the 53rd guy on the roster. And if he bitched, you know what happened? He'd get cut.
Finally, Eric wants to know about your experience at Star Lake last night.
It was awful. It was awful.
The experience of the music.
Well, Donnie was really good. Don Felder was really good. Kevin Cronin from REO was really good. I left before Sticks because I was just tired of the whole experience. 4 groups is too many. Sticks was my least favorite of the 4 groups. And Tim, where I come from, we have a saying, Sticks. But yeah, that place is just understaffed and unfriendly. It's just a horrible place to go for a concert. Horrible. Like, I went to the East Gate to go in, only to find the East Gate was closed. So I, a 64-year-old man, had to walk in the hot sun, up, around, down, and then all the way in front to get to where I was going. I had to do a lap of the complex because the gate was closed due to bad staffing. And when I asked for help, some 19-year-old dink just gave me a hard time. And then some old guy looked at me like he wanted to fight me. And Tim, there aren't many people I'd still fight, but I'd have folded that guy in half like a taco.
It might take Zeppelin with Bonham coming back from the grave for me to get to Star Lake again.
You know, it's funny. I already have tickets for Alice Cooper and Judas Priest. But last night reminded me I don't want to see Alice Cooper and Judas Priest that badly.
Mark's on today. You can listen to him at 3 o'clock at 105.9 The X.
One last thing. Last thing. Like, I had people on Twitter last night tell me, well, it's just a bad setup. I've been to the Mann Center in Philadelphia and Meriwether Post Pavilion in Baltimore, and they are set up exactly the same way as Star Lake, and things are run flawlessly. It is not the setup. It is the people running it.
Polaris in Columbus and the Bloom Center in Cleveland I've been to. 2 outdoor arenas that run much more efficiently than
I just was at the State Fair in Ohio in Columbus to see Foreigner out in the middle of all the funnel cakes, and it was flawless.
How were the funnel cakes?
Yep, great.
All right. Mark's on at 3. We're
Corn
back.
dogs too, Tim. Corn dogs, Jackie, for all these people.
Friday, it's the Friday Football Show with myself and Mike DeCourcy, brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar. You can find that here as well. This is Madden and Benz Unfiltered, brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar. Meet me at Mike's.